Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This video, me and Aaron McInnes are going to be going over the whole meta, and it's going to be a very, very special video and long video. We're going to go over how Floodgates might be shaping the meta, what will be the top decks moving forward, and everything you need to know if you guys are going to be looking forward. So, before we get started, Aaron, introduce yourself, my friend.
What up? My name is Aaron. I've been starting YouTube a little bit after Nationals. I got top 64 there. And yeah, I've just been really enjoying the content grind. I do an On the Bubble podcast every week. It is on my channel and Logan's now. So please feel free to check us out. I'm on Twitter, Aaron McInnes. Otherwise, yeah.
Guys, make sure to go subscribe to his YouTube right now. They do a lot of podcast style videos. There are a lot of high level guests on it. And I myself have listened a whole hour and 15 minutes of it one time in a car ride. Absolutely great stuff. We're actually doing a very cool goal here. Everyone loves metal foes. So if we get Aaron McInnes from 1,500 subs to 3,000 subs by November 2nd, he is going to be taking pure metal foes to a regional, right? You can't back out. You can't back out.
All right. If it happens, I will make it work.
Done. So guys, go subscribe to him right now, guys. I do want to see metal foes in action. I don't know how it will do right now. It might be, but who knows? I'll help you build it too. It's going to be epic. And
all
also,
right,
guys,
yeah, we'll see what we can do.
And if you guys want to learn all about Yu-Gi-Oh, check out my new development. Masterclass down below. With that being said, Aaron, I have a question for you. This is very big right now on the whole Yu-Gi-Oh scene. What do you think of everyone dooming and glooming and complaining about Floodgates and where the Yu-Gi-Oh is right now? Where do you think Yu-Gi-Oh is at right now with all the Floodgates and stuff like that?
So I had a very similar experience to how you've described it on Twitter at YC's Anaheim this past weekend. I had a lot of honest Yu-Gi-Oh games against like the Yummy and the Mitsurugi decks, and it was like a pretty enjoyable experience. I got buried once or twice, but overall, pretty cool time. But then I obviously looked around at tables next to me, and when you look at the top 8 stream, like it is very apparent that there are issues with Floodgates in the format. Cards like Protos, Dimensional Barrier, it is like able to be play around through, but when the games of Yu-Gi-Oh now are long turns, but like short in terms of turns total, those cards are definitely impactful in like your tournament experience, and they can ruin some of your matches. So cards like Protos, Barrier, and like if you want to make board breakers and a playable strategy, then you can't just like let Ouroboros rip your hand out first. So I think there's definitely a lot of positives in that aspect in terms of card design. The decks are really fun to play, but then there's cards like obviously Habakiri being very accessible, Hair of the Arc Light. Like there's positives and negatives in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I think it's one of the better formats we've had in recent years compared to some of the older stuff, but there's definitely still some issues out there.
That's extremely well said. So guys, in 31 matches that I have had in this specific format, not including Vancouver, this is just Lima and Anaheim, I only played against an FTK deck once, and it just so happened to be in top 8, sadly. So that like Mitsurugi searching Fossil Dyna is not an FTK, guys. You could literally have any hand trap ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh history simply negating the Gallon Granite. It's not a real FTK. Whereas Protos, it's like a little different, where you'd have Duo Drive, you'd have the Ouroboros, and then Protos is like a bonus, and the Detonate, all that stuff. So like there's not as many FTKs as you guys really think. On top of that, Yamimitsu is not an FTK. I went first against Aaron at YCS Anaheim. I put up the Yamimitsu FTK board and I lost. Now, even though I didn't play perfect, I actually played like fucking garbage that game. I don't know what was going on. I think Aaron's aura just had me misplaying, but yeah, he had me like, and he won. I went first. So Yamimitsu is not a deck that's a FTK. It's a great deck. Yamimitsu, in my opinion, is by far the best deck in my opinion, but my board got broken and I think I had a interruption set as well. So there are some FTK decks. And a lot of people are complaining about Habakiri kind of being accessible into like every deck. Do you think that's a problem? Because I personally, I love that. I love that shit. I love when every deck could be every deck. I've always loved Nightmare Mermaid style cards. I love them. This is why I love Fiendsmith. They're accessible with everything. What's your thoughts? Because a lot of people are complaining about that.
So I enjoy the aspect of bridges. Like I think modern deck, or like one of the biggest proponents for Yu-Gi-Oh is like how complex it is. The bridging, the deck building, like that is like one of the things that I enjoy the most about it. But when you look at some of the more modern decks, like the issue is not that there are bridges, it is just like how you are bridging. And when it is a card like Herald the Arclight, which is an extra deck accessible monster, that is also a floodgate. Like that is where I think like cards like lines to be drawn. Murakumo, like as a bridge, a card that is able to be bridged to, probably a bit of a problem. Like that card is very oppressive. It's a Regeki, it's a negate, and it's obviously just like very accessible off of prayers. So I think bridging in general is okay, but I think there definitely needs to be a line in terms of what is appropriate to be bridged into.
So what you're saying is my deck is so powerful that it just needs to be stopped.
That's probably a part of it. Yeah, I think Yamimitsu, like individually, those are two decks that I don't really have an issue with, but when they're combined together, the Yummy deck or the Yummy archetype, I've actually been describing to people kind of lately as like the new Fiendsmith, because in terms of how accessible it is, like the requirements to get into it, it's actually very easy. Like we saw a zombie vampire and a gravity controller, which is a super neat concept. We saw Jeff Jones doing access into Mitsurugi off of Link Monsters, the new extra, or I forgot the name of it. But there's that. There's also Reptilian Echidna. So there's a lot of different ways to get into it. But I think just like the power level of Mitsurugi being able to be bridged into is probably a little bit too much for where Yu-Gi-Oh is at right now.
Okay, that's a fair statement. I have a counter argument to that. I think there are so many enablers in Yu-Gi-Oh. This is also a floodgate issue. Let's say we ban Mjolnir. Let's say we ban Protoss. There will be a new floodgate. There will be a new.
Of course.
So let's say Konami bans all the meta relevant ones. There'll be new ones. So let's say Habakiri, for example. Let's say Konami recognizes maybe they should have put Habakiri as like you're locked into reptiles for the rest of the turn or something like that. Let's say they just outright ban Habakiri, whatever. There will be something else that's new. You can't ban Zombie Vampire because then there'll just be something else that's new. What about K9 decks? Like what every K9 deck is able to go Saryuja plus Ripper. So like there's so many Zombie Vampire style enablers that I love because I think that's what makes Yu-Gi-Oh so fun to deck build with and like find the bridges. That I think the only answer, I'm down to ban every floodgate. I'm down. But the problem is, let's say we ban every floodgate, not only will a new one be announced, but then people will complain like, oh, we should ban all the interruptions, all the negates. Like at what point are we playing Playground Yu-Gi-Oh? So I think if we ban every floodgate, I'm down. I'm down regardless. I'm gonna win regardless. I don't really care. But I would much prefer all floodgates banned because then it makes high level players like us higher likely to win and not lose to absolute BS.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty smart observation. Like you said, like there's always ways to bridge. And like I think there are points where that's good, but I think like I said earlier, like the level of card that can be bridged into can be a problem. Like we saw Fairlamps get banned because of the Habakiri thing. So if you ban Fairlamps because you identify Habakiri as a problem, then maybe they should have also just hit the Habakiri. Like I understand that is the case. When you look at a card like Protoss, like you can hit Protoss or you can hit the Banshee. I think in general, hitting the card that is the problem is definitely the way that you should approach it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does limit card design in the way that the reptiles that you are in the game moving forward you have to be aware that these cards are searchable and very accessible. When you put into perspective cards like Saryuja and Zombie Vampire, I think there's a little bit more of like it's more okay because those cards you can hand trap. So I think it's like a little bit less of an issue. But when it's a card like Saji Engraved, like there's only a card like Ash that can interact with it. A card like Purge can't even touch it if it's just off of Habakiri straight from hand. So I think bridges are fine as long as there's also ways to prevent it. But when you're able to put up like King and Ripper next to it or Herald, link it off and it's in graveyard and you can also chain block it, like I think that's where the issues start to arise.
Yeah. I was so confused when Habakiri was not limited or banned or prayers was not I was very confused. And then I was in the Spanish resort with my girl, just looking at this list. I'm like, okay, well, Yummy's obviously the best deck by far. And I'm looking because like obedience, who gives a shit? We're getting Marshmallow. But what the Habakiri did, like it's very interesting. It shaped maybe they did this on purpose. Maybe Konami knew that, all right, we want to avoid the bridges, so let's get rid of Fairlamps. This must have been what they were thinking. Let's get rid of Fairlamps so you can't bridge it anymore. Like you have to hard draw it, so it'll be harder. And then they're probably thinking in their mind like what they didn't think was Herald to search it. However, they're thinking in their mind, they're like, if we put Herald to 1 and if they use it to search, Yummy Mitsu can't end on Herald, so they didn't think of Samsara.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking we can't let Yummy be the best deck, so we let Dracotail go untouched, and then we let Mitsurugi go untouched, so Murakumo could check Yummy, and then Dracotail could check Yummy. That's probably what they were thinking. So in theory, they did have quite a good like triangle idea here, and they did left off with 3. What their intention was to have the 3 best decks of Yummy, Mitsu, and Dracotail. But I guess it was the Yummy Mitsu bridge of the Herald with the Samsara that really kind of changed the meta. Because if you look at the top 8 decks, there was 5 of them was Yummy, 4 was Yummy Mitsu, 1 was Yummy.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy mix, and quite frankly, I'm to fucking blame for that.
Yes, it is your fault, so thank you for that. But yeah, like when you look at like the early format, like we saw in Lille and Lima, those events were pretty like normal, like we kind of expected. The triangle format, Dracotail didn't perform as well as you maybe have expected, but in general, like that's what you saw, a lot of Mitsurugi, a lot of Yummy, and then as you saw like your success in Lima, that will now obviously shape or like just open people's eyes to the ability of how strong these combo decks are, and just like the ability to bridge back and forth, which both of these decks do very efficiently. And then obviously we saw decks like Kamal's deck, which he top 4 Lima with, but then was able to even, I assume, make a little bit better. And we saw Alex Bergeron take advantage of your deck where you didn't play hand traps, all he played was Ash. So when he's able to just full board and response.
I have a big thing to say for that. Kamal is one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh players of all time.
100%.
I'm attesting the performance of Chris Strong K9 to Kamal, not Chris Strong K9. Like
I won't dispute that, but yeah, because he again one of the best TCG players that I know of, like, in general. But I do think that Mjolnir is a problem. Like if we identify Paradise Smashers as a problem, then I think identifying Mjolnir as a problem as well is also kind of reasonable.
Okay, let's say the whole world now plays. A lot of them are playing FTKs. Let's just say, for example, let's say a lot of people want to play Mjolnir or whatever. And Mjolnir is, by the way, accessible in any K9 variant. It does not need to be just Chris Strong. It just makes it easier. So if that's the case, and that's how the format gets shaped, and everyone's playing FTKs, I am going to remove 24 board breakers from from my deck and insert 24 hand traps. I will never get hit with Mjolnir, not even once. So personally for me, I have no problem with Mjolnir. In fact, I also have no problem. I had no problem Paradise Smashers. When I took K9 VS to a few regionals just for shits and gigs, I did not even make Paradise Smashers, not even once, literally, because I didn't want to lose the double hand trap. And I
agree.
So now, like, I'm playing all board breakers now, so obviously, I really hope I don't play a Mjolnir deck. But with everyone, if everyone's like moving towards the approach of playing FTK, I'm just gonna play every hand trap known to mankind, and I will never allow them to make it. So personally, I don't mind it. And an issue I see with Crystron is it's not real Crystron of what we're used to with triple inclusion. Like, they're dropping the Crystron count dramatically, so it's their follow-up is almost non-existent, and their plays through hand traps are a lot worse than before. So I'm curious to see what happened. Like, I could picture now Kamal getting hand trapped like 3 times, recognizing Captain Mjolnir. He has the ability to find a way, knowing that, hey, if I get Valor right now, or if I get Valor Ash right now, I'm passing. He has this capability of recognizing, you know what? Like, before he even gets hit with double or third hand trap, I'm not going for Mjolnir right now. I'm gonna do something where if I get hand trapped, I could do this. And then that like mid combo is what allows him to push through those. The average Crystron player doesn't find that. So that's why I think it's getting too much hate, but I wouldn't mind if I would love every Crystron, everyone play Crystron. I'll just run hand trap galore. And what's your thoughts on that? Do you think we need an absolute emergency ban list with all these FTKs or no?
I think emergency ban list is maybe a little strong. I do think, just as a general statement, I would like Konami to either be a little bit more communicative or do it a little more often, just so like we have a little bit more of an understanding. I think over the past calendar year, we've only had 2 lists. Maybe it was 3 around this time, but I think like at a minimum, just having an understanding of when lists are going to come out would be a little more ideal. Konami's made a lot of positive changes over the past year. I want to give them their credit for that, but at the same time, that is something I would like to see make an adjustment. But in terms of the deck discussion, I agree that that is how you counter those decks, right? Like when I was testing Crystron K9, I almost took it to Anna myself, actually. A lot of the struggles I had was against like a pure Yummy deck that just played 20 hand traps and cut you off from all the K9 cards. But at the same time, the K9 engine has its own just kind of like fail safes in terms of making Ripper. So if you're not opening those 2 or 3 card combos in it to hand trap them and also cut off Ripper, then the deck is going to get kind of oppressive in that regard. So I think cards like Ripper are just in general a bit of a problem. I want hand traps to be like actually good. And if they just are able to, let's say they have a good hand, they go, no Roy, summon a guy, make Ripper, don't even use the effect. Like, and they say they summon Lupus and put it under it. Like now you can't even impermit, you can't mortar, you can't Valor. So they can just let that Ripper sit there for as long as possible.
Yeah, this is why I called you the Draco Tail Goat, because you find these plays. Kamal went up to, I'm talking to Kamal about some lines with this things like, yeah, he would end on Ripper with no effect and he would just play without using Ripper effect. That way he'd always, no matter what, if he gets hit with Nibiru guys, you can never go Nib Imperm, Nib Valor, because there's a Lupus under if you do not use Ripper effect. It's a very high level play. And that's why people need to subscribe to Aaron, because if he could figure that out with the deck he'd even play, imagine what you could do with Metal Foes. I wonder what Metal Foes could even do right now. Metal Foes even do anything? Like, there has to be something. Wait a sec. No, never mind. I was for some reason thinking
Electromite is banned, and that card was already like kind of mediocre in the Metal Foes deck, so I'm kind of concerned to see what I come up with. So don't subscribe, but at the same time, like if you sub, like I'm gonna obviously have to try and cook something up.
I think Astrograph's at 3 now, right?
Ooh, maybe
that could be helpful.
1, I don't know. It could be at 3. If we don't have Electromite, it's gonna be a problem. So we'll see what we can come up with beyond the Pendulum and some whatever Floodgate I can throw in there to give me some chances at winning the game.
So I have a very important Yu-Gi-Oh question for you. All of Yu-Gi-Oh wants to know: should I cosplay as Heavy Metal Foes Electromite for YCS Pittsburgh?
Should you? Yes.
All right, you heard the man. You heard the man. Should I play Pendulums at YCS Pittsburgh?
What's that to lose? Or, yeah, what do we got to lose?
Ah, fuck it. I already have 2 wins. Well, I already have 3 wins. I lost count of all my wins. Yeah, fuck it. I'll do it.
Too many wins at this point.
Exactly. I do want 1 more. I want 1 more. I'm gonna get 1 more this calendar year, so I could say I have 4 in 12 month period. Then after that, I'm gonna just side quest all the way to Nats. I'm gonna take Pen Magician. I'm gonna take Perform Pal. You take Metal Foes. The Pension community would absolutely love it. All 4 of us. Thank you. Absolutely amazing interview here. I hope you guys get really understood here how the format will be shaped. Very last question. Do you think now, with everything and all the discourse going on in FTKs, what do you think will happen now? Do you think the format will stick with Draco Tail, Yummy, Mitsurugi, Yummy Mitsu? Or do you think it'll shape into more K9 Crystron, more Protoss FTKs? What do you think?
I think if you are not making the realization that hand traps are kind of required to counteract these decks, and I think that's an oversight. And that is a bit of a strength of the K9 deck, obviously, right? Is like they can end on Ripper and make that prevent that. So that's where you maybe put cards like Molchemmies in your deck. Like having those in the side deck again may help mitigate that deck strengths. But I think if you are not main decking hand traps, you are risking game 1 pretty heavily. And I think based on my experience in Anaheim, game 1 is the most important game of the match. So you can't just go in hoping to win the die roll against that deck, or just like not playing its Mitsu Yummy. Like, you either have to be playing a very, very strong contender deck, like I view Draco Tail of that, with a lot of hand traps in it, or you're kind of just making those sacrifices of, okay, am I playing a die roll game against a combo deck? So I would definitely recommend moving over to some reasonable number of hand traps. Like, I don't think Christian Cannon is easy to stop if the pilot is very good, but it's definitely stoppable if you play enough hand traps in your main deck.
Nice. I like it. You guys heard the man. Make sure to go subscribe to Aaron. Check out the Yummy mascots down below. And we're going to be doing a part 2 of this on Aaron's channel. We're actually going to be doing an in-depth guide on each of the meta decks. So make sure to check that out. I have a brand new deck that I have in mind that I'm intending to take for YCS Pittsburgh. And I will announce it actually on Aaron's video. So you do not want to miss that. Go subscribe to the channel down below. I'll see you guys next video. Peace.